we we use it only for one way. So allows the animal to come out of the house at the entry point that we know that they're getting in. But we've done all this work on the house, therefore they can't revert inside and come back into the house. So what this does is two things. One, we're going to make our customers happy because the animal's going to get out and they're never going to have to worry about it. We do guarantee all our work for 5 years. But in second of all, we're not going to take an animal, we're not going to kill it. We're not going to take him and relocate him somewhere else where he's not familiar with. So therefore, he doesn't know where his a den site would be, doesn't know where any food sources would be. And then he's going to compete in the territory that other animals of his species are, which is detrimental to wildlife. So what we're going to do is we're going to exclude him from that home. We're going to protect that home and allow Rocky the raccoon or whatever the squirrel to venture off and go find another house. Now, we get this all the time. Well, he's just going to go live to the house next door. Maybe. But then again, anywhere you go, whether it be in Ontario, BC, Quebec, whatever, there's wildlife anywhere. So whether I've prevented this house or the house across the street or this house over there, if you have areas of your home that are susceptible to wildlife to get in, to allow mice or raccoons or whatever, they're going to take advantage of those opportunities. So that's why we as exclusion artists are in business to stop that. Any questions so far? Does that make sense to everybody? Oh, I see a question that popped up, but I don't know how to read it again.
So you have two questions. One is, what if their young ones are left inside without their mom?
Great question. So springtime, now I wish I would have brought it in, but you can see this on our website or our social media sites, is we use what's called a baby box, okay? And we make these boxes. So it's a plywood box, okay? They're a heating pad, like a baby blanket that's plugged in the bottom of it, but it's also insulated on all four sides in the top. So what this does is allows us to physically go in the attic during the removal process and get the babies. Now, we're not expecting babies till about mid-March. So if we get squirrels or raccoons, and we'll know, we use thermal imaging cameras. A lot of times customers can hear them. Sometimes they can't. So in a case of, let's say, squirrel babies, and a lot of times we don't know that there is squirrel baby, we can scour that attic, okay? Mama will let us know if there's squirrel babies in there in the first 24 hours, oftentimes in the first 12 hours. So we tell our clients, here's the one-way door, it's set up. If you see a squirrel aggressively trying to get back in, call us, okay? So then we go back. But the normal process is they've hired us to do a removal of wildlife. We know it's baby season. So it's standard for our guys to go in every single attic and do an attic search for babies. Now, we find the babies. We'll physically take them out by hand. They come with us. We take them outside. We put them in that heated baby box. Okay. We close the lid. Now they have a nice warm area. And also what we do is we take insulation from where they are in the attic. We'll take it out and put it in that box. Okay. We'll then take that box, place it up onto the roof where the entry hole is, whether the raccoon or the squirrel was going in. We install a one-way door, so the animal's mother will be then vacated, locked out of the house, but right next door to that one-way door is her babies sitting in this box. And what this does allows the mother at her convenience to either go in and just sit with the babies for a day or two until she becomes comfortable, or even sometimes immediately what will happen is mom will take the babies one at a time to an alternate den site. Regardless of wildlife, whether it be a squirrel, raccoon, birds, they all have alternate den sites. So a lot of people tell me, what's the winner? I don't want to evict them. They already have 2-3 other homes in the area that they're going to be able to go to. So we'll leave this box up for 24 hours. Typically, every single time we have a removal of babies the next day, it's mandatory we go back. We'll check the box. And usually in that 24 hours, the babies have been relocated. Now, let's say out of 10 litters, we may get a mother raccoon or a mother squirrel that takes 5 out of her 6 babies, right? This is where Chantel comes in, okay? So if we have, let's say raccoons, 6 babies, first 24 hours, 5 babies are gone. We'll leave it for one more day, depending on age. If they're really young, we don't want to leave them for a day. But we'll leave them for one more day, see if mom comes back for the second baby or the last baby. And typically they do. But if they don't, or their health is deteriorating, or we deem that, hey, it's too cold without a mom, doesn't matter. We'll call Chantel here at Hobbit's Tea. And we'll say, hey, Chantel, we tried to do the humane thing. We tried to give mama her babies. You know, a lot of it was a lot of work for mama, so she wanted to leave one behind. So then Chantel would take our orphan baby and raise it. Alternatively, what we'll try to do, and we only do this if we have another litter within the same kind of area, is we'll adopt that baby out to another mama raccoon. So let's say on a Monday we did a removal of babies. We went back on the Tuesday and there was still one baby left, and that's pretty young, but we're doing another removal 2 streets over, a block over, 2 blocks over. We'll take that baby, put it in another baby box, and allow mother to adopt that one. And it happens all the time. What we won't do is take that baby and take it to another city to be orphaned out. It's illegal. It's against the law. Well, I'm not going to get into the law, but if there's disease in any way associated with any of these animals, what we don't want to do is spread them to another area. So we only do these adoptions, we'll say, in that geographical city, in that area, typically within about a kilometer range of that area. Hope that answers it.
Yeah, so you answered the second question, and the third question is, will most species adopt another baby of a similar age? Are there any that will not?
It's funny because when we do the adoptions and we'll orphan that baby out, we'll often have one set of litter raccoons that are like 12 weeks old, and then a newborn comes along or is only a week or 2 weeks old. We put it in the box, mom takes them. And sometimes we even see 2-3 weeks later, a house that's down the road calls us, and we'll go up and get the babies out of that house and go, hey, there's little orphan Annie over here that we had with the other box. We can see 5 of these guys are almost like pretty plump and big, and this guy's still little, but he's still getting bigger, which we know mom's still feeding him. So it works. We know it works.
I have a question. What's the most bizarre animal that you've removed from somebody's home, or strange or unusual?
Well, this one was almost, I wouldn't say almost killed me, but I'll never trust a homeowner again. So this is probably about 8 years ago. Well, maybe not that long. Anyway, we get a call and there's somebody that lost a pet snake in their apartment. All right. We get these calls all the time. And my pet snake's lost. Pet snake. Oh, it's just a ball python. It's just, it's a non-harmful this, that, and the other thing. No problem. We'll come. We bring our thermal imaging cameras. We're trying to look in walls and registers. Is it in the ductwork? We try to find and see if we can find it. Well, I go in, and again, I confirmed, and what are we looking for? Oh, it's a red-bellied. I don't know this specific species, but it was something that was supposed to be non-venomous. I go in the house, I start doing my thing. I'm moving chairs, kitchen table, I'm okay. There's a clothes bag, move that. I take the couch and I pull it back, and up rises a king cobra. Okay. Oh. I take the couch, throw it back in. I ran outside. I had a lot of choice words for that gentleman that told me that I was going in there for just as whatever, and red-bellied something. And at that point in time, we had to call the authorities in because it was in an apartment building. There was kids in this apartment building and adjacent walls. That thing just had to get through a wall and it'd be in another part. And obviously he was scared because when I got there, and then this should have been a warning sign for me, he's waiting outside. He's not even in his own house. So that has taught me now going forward. I look at, is that guy in the house waiting for me? Is he outside waiting for me? All right. And then I'll reiterate to him, I even tell people the story. Am I going after a non-venomous reptile? And is there anything in there that can hurt me? And because I said, that's their first and only chance they're getting. And if I find anything else, then we're going to the authorities. And he did end up getting charged and the animal taken away.
Yeah, that's bizarre. Yeah, I have a theory on that because I've removed a fair number of venomous reptiles from people's homes. The more venomous the animal, the less likely they are in an enclosure that is actually snake or reptile proof.
Yeah,
the more riggedy the enclosure, the more chances there are that the animal is going to be venomous.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you remember, it was even last year or the year before, Brett County SPCA, and we were supposed to assist in the call, but all of our techs were out of the city, including me. And there was a 5.5-foot alligator in a drug house kept in a bedroom. And you think an alligator in Brantford in a house and 5.5 feet long, and they brought it out, and it was huge. It was a huge, and that's kind of my dream call because I've never got a gator call. So and I was kind of just get that.
I-
Always wanted one.
All right, you have another question. What is your best pitch to urge people to coexist with coyotes in the neighborhood?
Sorry, say that again.
What is your
You're
best
cutting out.
pitch to urge people to coexist with coyotes in the neighborhood?
Best pitch. Well, I mean, where I live out in Brant County here, we have coyotes all the time. And to us, they're harmless. People, I think, are fearsome of it because they're uneducated. And when I say uneducated, I'm going to say ill-informed. Okay, people only read the headlines and think coyote in neighborhood attacks dog. Okay, it happens from time to time, but on the general, let's say out of 1,000 coyotes in 10 years, you might get 1 or 2 cases. Okay, it's extreme cases. It's not to be. Don't be cautious. Or be cautious, but don't be scared. We literally have them in our backyard. We have a dog. They've never bothered us ever. I think it's the fear mongering of the media has helped portray the people's worry, and the population is rising. And I think the yipping and seeing them in the urban environment is scaring people. But I think they're coming in their urban environment first off because urban sprawl. They're passing through. They might be sniffing out some rabbits, and they can't find their way back out of the urban environment by the time daylight comes, and then people start going to work and seeing them. Don't corner them, and don't approach them. And I think everything would be okay. Like even us, we've had to take a couple coyotes out of the backyard, and as soon as we get close to them, and we had to corner them, unfortunately, because there was kids everywhere, and even on other fences in a park and everything. They wanted it out there. It was a snare pull, but I barely had to snare him. He was so scared. I literally walked him out like a dog, like most raccoons and most everything. And remember, we don't snare around the neck. So when I say snare, we're not snaring him around the neck. We snare him by going around their arms and under the armpit. So if we do have to pull them, we're pulling from under the armpits. We don't snare out of the neck. So they're more scared of you than you're scared of them. And just be cautious. And that's all I would say. That makes sense?
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about bats and how you would handle bats in somebody's home?
Yeah. So as you know, we've been still dealing with bats because I'm bringing them to you almost. It feels like every other week we're bringing you one. So a thing about this time of year, if you have a bat in your house or in your building, it's almost a guarantee that you have a colony living in your house. And we know that because the freezing temperatures outside, if bats were to fly outside, they literally almost freeze instantly because their thin wings, their blood goes through it, and they literally almost fall out of the sky. Okay. So how we handle bats is first off, we have to do an inspection. What's the structure like? Okay. There's companies out there, and this is more in Toronto, and I want you to be scared of this. They bring in a pallet and a paste and say they put it in the attic and it drives all the bats away. And they charge them $2,000 for it. The real proper way, humane way, is again through exclusion. So we find out their entry points, we find out how the structure is made, what we need to do to the structure to make sure that they can't get in. So normally that means screening the roof vents, caulking in around where the brick meets the soffit lines. There's other things we do like securing the drip edge, stuff like that. And once we seal everything down, we put on these cones. They're almost like a funnel, and it'll allow the bats to come out, fly out, and go on their way. But they will not be allowed to get back in. That's how we're able to evict a whole colony out of the house and protect the house. Now, if somebody was to call us at this time of year, which they do, in which we are doing inspections and we are suggesting the work, and people are saying, just get it done. I can't live any. Here's the deal. They're stuck with it till the spring, because these bats are going to be in hibernation, and they're not going to rise out of that until our temperatures start warming up, until they can start hearing the insects outside. And once those two combinations start happening, they're going to start waking up, and then the eviction can start happening. Now, with bats, it's only certain times of years you can do evictions, okay? So the maternal season, when they start giving birth, we can't do evictions then. If we do, what's going to happen is all the moms and dads are going to leave, and then they won't be able to get back to their babies. Okay. So there's a saying in our industry called June and July, we let them fly. And what that means is we can do 99% of the work on the house to seal it up and get it ready for eviction, but we will not close off any entry points until the 1st of August. And what this does, it allows the bats to raise their young. And once they become mature enough, and that's usually right around the end of July, and we know that because the last 2 weeks of July, we start getting bombarded with emergency calls of bats coming into the living space throughout southwestern Ontario. And that's our cue to say, okay, our bat babies are now mature. And why we know that is through the course of the year, mom and dad know how to get in and out. The babies, once they reach maturity, a lot like our toddlers and our humans, they start getting curious and crawling around. And then they get lost in the wall cavities and under things. And then they use their senses and temperature air changes to follow their nose, which they think is going outside. In fact, 99% of the time they come down through the walls and end up in an unfinished basement and then start flying around the house. And that's when the homeowner sees them when we get the call. I tell people, if you have a bat in your living space, that is a warning sign. That is the tip of the iceberg letting you know, hey, I have bats in here. I get all the time, well, I was bringing in groceries. I left the door open for a second. He must have flew in. No, it doesn't happen. Okay. I wish I got $1 for every time somebody has told me that. It just doesn't happen. So bats, great species, little browns, big browns that we have in southwestern Ontario. There's lots more, but those are the common ones that we find in the urban environment dwelling in houses. Left untreated, they can multiply, and the fear of it is both their guano, long-term exposures, histoplasmosis, respiratory disease. The secondary is obviously rabies. Now, it is rare, but it's happened. We've had people get bit. We've had people then test the bat for rabies and it has come back positive. We've had a few people die in Canada because of it. I'm not fear mongering. It's better not to have bats in the house. Let's have them on the outside of the house, if that makes sense.
So there's a question here. Bats are protected in the UK. You cannot dislodge them. Are they protected in Canada as well?
Right, they are protected, and they're protected in the fact that you cannot evict bats during the maternal season. You cannot maliciously kill bats. So in the olden days, you had a bat problem, they go in your attic, DDT the attic, come back in a week, and you're bat free. Cannot do that anymore. It has to be in a certain way, in our way, which is the exclusion, humane, so their colony can go free and live somewhere else. So if the law will protect humans, and this sounds kind of bad, but it's true. If it's a human or the bat, it will never be the human. And what I mean by that, if you need to protect you and your family by killing a bat in your house, one bat, because it's flying around and you have kids or something like that, you're okay and allowed to do that. But there's ways you can do it without killing it. 99% of the people, first thing you do is a tennis racket, badminton racket. I'd rather you go get a fishing net, get it in the fishing net, take it outside and let it fly away. So I tell people, exchange the badminton racket or tennis racket and put a fishing net on their staircase. Because every time I go to a bat house, I need to do inspection. There's always tennis rackets all the way around. So yes, they're protected. Different species have different laws, but in order to do our job right, we don't need to hurt them or harm them.
There's a comment here that says Oakville Milton Humane Society will send an officer to homes in Oakville, also if somebody has a bat, to assist with safe removal. That is indeed correct. They will help you remove a bat that might be flying around in your house. They will, however, not help you remove a colony of bat that lives in your home. I know that from working with Oakville Milton Humane Society. There's another comment here, or a question. If somebody was to call about bats now, and after inspection it's found that they have a colony, would you tell them they have to wait until it's warmer? Or do you assist with closing them up while they hibernate in the home and come back when it's warmer to do the exclusion?
So this works in twofold. So we would go initially, you call me today, we're coming either today or tomorrow. We're going to do the inspection. We're going to do the quote. We're going to get a game plan for the exclusion. Okay. You guys say, let's go ahead and do it. So we'll book the work in and you start the sealing up. So like I said, I'll seal up 99% of the house, leave all the entry points open. So we'll know their entry points by greasy, oily stains. poop stuck to the walls where they're going in different areas that we know over the last 18 years of doing bat removals, we know typically where they go in. We'll seal everything up and then wait till spring. We will not seal everything up and just let them die in there. So then once we know they're active, we'll come back and see the spots we left open and go, okay, fresh droppings here. We got fresh droppings here. We're going to put a one-way door here, one-way door here. Typically on homes, there's never just one entry point. There's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 entry points that different parts of the colony will use to enter and exit that attic. So yes, we will start the process now, but you will not be bat free until late spring, as soon as the weather is cooperating.
I have a question here. I have been hearing some movement in my attic that sounds like more than just the mouse. Will you come to the London area?
Yeah, we do service London, actually. We expanded in the end of 2019 for London. Actually, we're all over the radio and everything in London, FM 96 and Country 104, Fresh Radio. So yeah, we do London. So I guess I should say what our service area is. So we service everything from Fort Erie, Niagara, all the way down Burlington, Hamilton, Grimsby, all the way through Brant County, Haldimand into London, and then we hook back all the way into Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo, Guelph, Aurora. So southwestern Ontario is basically our entire service area.
That's a pretty large area. I would like to add to that Hamilton Animal Services had a call for baby raccoons in a dumpster a few weeks ago. And I have actually had a call for baby squirrels that had fallen out of the nest last week. So you said March. I beg to differ.
Really? So I was saying generally. Now were the squirrels like babies? When I say babies, like pinkies?
Yeah, they were pinkies. They were eyes closed pinkies.
Wow. Okay. So and then you said baby raccoon in a dumpster?
Yeah. A mama nursing babies. Yep.
And they were brand new.
Brand new.
Never heard anything of it.
So
typically it's the second week of March when we start getting hit with baby.
I'm hoping freak of nature, but because I'm not quite ready for it, and with this cold, it's going to be rough. I have. Sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to add to that. Now, we've already been talking to this over here. The mild winter up until this week has probably introduced an early mating season. And we've already probably predicted we would be, I said typically it's mid-March. We're expecting the 1st of March probably start getting our calls.
Yes, same.
Sorry, go ahead.
What does a typical inspection cost?
So right here, where we're all dispatched out of in Brantford and the Brant County area, we charge I'll say Brantford and Paris, we're $50. To go anywhere else other than the Brant area, we do charge a $75 inspection fee. What does that get you? It gets us to your door, ladders up, a walk around. We're looking not only, you think you have a raccoon, we're looking at other things on the house. We write everything up, and then you get your quote and inspection done at once. Now, if you do nothing, that's all it costs you is the inspection fee. If you go ahead with the service with us, we do credit those inspection fees towards the job. All right. So in a sense, you'll get a free inspection if you do the work with us.
What is your most common animal that you have to remove or exclude? What's your most common call?
Well, it depends what time of the year. So for instance, since November till now, most of it's mice and rats. Starting now, because we're getting into that mating season, we're getting into squirrels and raccoon calls again. And then for, like I said, next couple months, we'll be into baby season with those. As soon as the baby season hits, then we have our skunks going to start mating and start giving birth about 4 to 6 weeks after our raccoons and squirrels. Then after that becomes bird season. So birds start nesting inside of houses and wall vents and vent lines. We're doing birds in mid-spring. Come summertime, it's snakes, it's bats and more bats in summer. And then as we trail off into September, October, November, we're back into all the babies with squirrels and raccoons getting kicked out by mom and saying, go get your own den. So we're now another rise in influx of urban break-ins. So then we're in raccoons, squirrels. not so much birds anymore. We'll be still in bat season, and then we're into again mice and rats again. So it depends on the season what our calls are going to be mostly attributing to.
Now, can you talk about why the company that you own does things differently than a lot of the wildlife removal companies out there, as far as there's still a lot of live trapping and relocating going on, despite what the law says, and the other humane methods that you use? How come you do it that way and other people do it other ways? Why is it like that?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we wonder the same. Now, a lot of us don't like change, and there's a lot of, I'll call them old school mentality out there. They grew up, that's what they did. And there's companies out there that's been around for 40, 50 years that they've been doing it, and that's how they do it, regardless of the law. A lot of it is they don't want the training that we have. A lot of people don't understand the training we have to go through. Like, we do rappelling training, we do confined space training, we're doing fall arrest training, all ladder training, all that stuff to be able to crawl on 12-12 pitch, 4-story Victorian homes, rappelling down to get to that one spot where that squirrel went in. Whereas the old school way of trapping and relocating, that guy's going to put a trap on the ground. Hopefully he catches the one that's going in there. It's usually a non-target animal, and it doesn't work. A lot of times they kill because, like I said, they don't get on the roofs and do some of the exclusion techniques that we use. So if they can take away that animal, they're going to take away that customer's problem, and then they force the hand of that customer to actually go to get another contractor to close up the hole. We're that one-stop shop. Where we differ in a lot of customers is, I guess you can say, we follow the law. I've always been involved with wildlife my entire life. Wildlife conservation is, as you could say, it's important to us as a mission statement. As you know, I got the owls in my backyard. We're building the owl boxes. My son loves to go at the cottage and see the frogs, the snakes, the fishing. So we're conscious and minded of the wildlife, and we do this because it's right. It's what you should be doing. I don't know why, if you can do it using exclusion and being humane, not only making the customer happy but the animals as well. Why not? Like, I don't understand why they don't want to change. And this might sound horrible too, but it's more profitable for us. And not because we're going to do all this work on your house and we're going to charge it. It's more profitable because if you're laying a trap down, you have to check it every day. And technically at this time of year, you should be checking it every 4 to 6 hours because of freezing temperatures. You can't leave an animal out overnight. So now you have to check your trap lines for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. Now you're catching 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squirrels, but your customer is still saying, hey, I still have this squirrel here. I still have this problem in my attic. I still have this issue. Now you're going to go reset all your traps. So you're running around checking traps all day for $130. You can't operate a business that way. You're going to shoot yourself in the foot. So, and you as a homeowner, why do you want that runaround? Okay, so you call us. We're there within a day or two, depending on how busy we are. You're going to pay X amount of dollars. Okay, so let's say a general raccoon or squirrel job, and we're not only getting them out, you got to remember we're proofing your house. So you're getting an insurance policy from us. Okay, so generally, average house for raccoon to squirrels, $600-700. If you get bigger end of house, it's up to $1,200. But I'm not just taking a squirrel and running away with it. I am protecting your house. I'm screening the roof vents. I'm capping your chimneys. I am changing wall vents out, putting new ones on. I'm doing things to your house to help that you don't have this nuisance again, and giving you a full 5-year guarantee. So the difference between me and other companies is apples to oranges. Okay, so I always say, be careful who you pick. Look at the reviews. Look at not the reviews on their website, not the reviews on their Facebook site, even though we have those too. Those can be manipulated. The ones you really want to look at on any company, regardless whether it be a contractor for this, that, and the other thing, is Google reviews. No company owner can manipulate those reviews. We can't go in and change them. We can't delete them. If I don't like your review on Facebook, delete. If I don't like your review on my website, delete. can't do anything with Google. So I tell people, make sure you check Google reviews.
Interesting. So I have a question here. I was upset to find that my housemate had mice experts come in who laid down glue traps, which I find inhumane. We now have something much larger in the attic that I hear often. Are all your methods humane?
Yep, all of them. So everything we do, even to mice, we exclude mice using one-way doors. Now, everybody asks me, how do you get a one-way door for a mouse? So first off, we'll be able to identify where they're getting in, because through greasy stains, oily stains, little chew marks, pathways, we can see all that. Okay, with a trained eye, after we find it, we take you outside and we show the homeowner, hey, look, this is where they're getting in, blah, 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 blah. So we seal up the house, and then we put on, if you think of a teeter-totter. Remember the teeter-totters back in the day? Okay. Think of a rectangle around it with a teeter-totter in the middle, and one end is spring-loaded. Okay. So I don't know if you can see, so let's use the screen. So as the mouse crawls up here, his weight's going to push down the teeter-totter down to this side, and he goes outside. And then the spring comes up, okay, in this little rectangle, and then he can't get back in because he's at the bottom of the door. That's how we're able to exclude mice humanely, get them out without using traps, without using poisons, without using glue sticks, and without using anything that's going to hurt them. And they can go on their way. Now, that being said, not all houses can be mouse proofed. Okay. If you have a stone foundation for houses from 1910, if we can't get to all four sides of your house, you have an addition that's got dirt flooring in it, there's certain criteria that has to be met to have a mouse proof house done by us. That answer it?
Yep. Have you ever had a home? Have you ever had a home that had multiple species?
All the time. All
Yeah.
the time. I'll tell you, probably about 80-90% of houses, people have mice, but they don't know about it. But they'll call because they hear scratching and think it's a raccoon. We get there, it's mice. But we've got there, and I've had one with mice, squirrels in the north end, and a gazebo, or not in a gable, and then I have raccoons in the back. Then I had a skunk underneath the deck at the same time. So we get that a lot. And then in call us back, they got bats in there too. So, we've seen it all. It happens a lot. Yes.
Can you speak to the animal-specific training that your staff goes through, and are your staff trained to check for injuries and illnesses before they release?
So let me start with the check for illnesses and stuff. No, our guys are not trained. And why not? Because we don't release them, because we don't catch them. Okay, so when we evict them out through the use of one-way doors, we're not there. So if this animal is able to climb, such as a raccoon or squirrel, and it's going through its normal day and be able to come out a one-way door, typically they're not sick. I said typically. Doesn't mean it's a catch-all. But we're not medically trained to treat wildlife. We're not Chantel. We are wildlife exclusion experts. Now, that being said, we go into an attic and we're getting, raccoon babies out, and we see one's got a punctured eye. Chantel's getting the call. Obviously, we can see that one's injured. Okay. If we can notice they're circling, they got signs of distemper or rabies, we will not let it go. We will call the county, Brand County SPCA, or Chantel, whatever division or area we're in. We're in London Animal Control. We have to do that. We are doing a disservice to wildlife by taking an injured or possible rabid or distempered animal and letting him live. All right. Wildlife conservation sometimes means doing the things that you don't want to do. All right. What was the first part of that question?
The animal-specific training that your staff goes through.
Right. So believe it or not, my guys, and including myself, we were not university trained in biology or anything. Right. To be a wildlife control technician, what we need is construction experience. We know animals can get in. I can train people on how it happens, but you need to know how to use construction materials to be able to seal up a home properly. So I need to make sure I'm using 1-inch screws in certain parts of the house and not 3-inch screws, or I'm going to come through a ceiling inside or a wall inside your house. I need to know how to vent an attic when we're placing insulation so I don't create mold into a house. So that's an aspect of the construction side. The animal side, what we do is we're training as in signs of distemper, signs of rabies, signs to look for in bats and raccoons, squirrels, blah, blah, blah. Why we're training when they're becoming a technician is to train them not so much as to benefit the animals, but we need to protect us. So all our guys are supposed to have post or pre-exposure rabies shots to protect them. There's a shortage, and we've been trying for a year and a half to get our guys the shots, and each time our doctors are all saying they're sold out. Now, you've told me different, Chantel, which is hilarious because my guys have went and talked to their doctors, and they're all saying they can't get it. Anyway, So back to the animals. No, we're not specifically trained in the biology of every single animal. Common sense, initial training from us, and obviously going about their day. And if they see an injured animal, they see a raccoon walking up and grabbing your leg and coming to your truck while you're having lunch, running in circles and drooling or doing things they're not supposed to, then obviously we can make that determination that that animal's not healthy.
Do you find that homes with a rich vent roof have more or less wildlife issues?
Sorry, you say with homes with ridge venting?
Yeah.
So pros and cons. If you go to our social media accounts, you'll see ridge venting just pulled up all the time by raccoons, chewed out by squirrels. If they're not installed correctly or have wire meshing underneath it, then you're going to have mice and bats that go in it. We use a product called Ridge Guard now on our ridge venting that protect the critters from trying to get in these ridge venting. And we see more in houses that don't have the ridge venting, because most houses don't have ridge venting. It's relatively new in construction. There are some old ways that had some, but as a practice, you don't see it a lot on homes.
And then the next question is, can you exclude mice in the winter or will they die?
No, actually, you can exclude them in the winter. Mice go outside in the dead of winter. Okay, even today, my son and I were out, and when CHCH News was here, he filmed it. I had a mole come up right where we're walking, right in the snow, come up and say hi to us. And my son grabbed him and showed the camera, and then we released him back into the snow, and he burrowed right back under the snow and went on his day. Wildlife will be out year round. And regardless whether it's freezing cold, whatever, mice will come out of the house and go down and eat the snow and get their water supply. Go to the bird feeder in the middle of the winter, grab seed, and then run back into the house. So we can evict all animals at all time of the year. And the reason why is they're used to our Canadian winters, except bats.
Except bats. I was just gonna ask.
And chunks and possums. We don't do any of those in the winter.
Yeah, and there would be some reptiles that would be problematic too. I would hope that you weren't removing.
Oh, you know that though. We always bring them to you.
I know. That's just making sure that people know. Does anybody have any more questions for Jarrett? I think we've had a good run on questions, but is there anybody else who has any questions? If not, can you let us know how people can get in touch with you or find you or, call you for an inspection?
Yeah, so first off, things to do about work. We're on Facebook and Instagram a lot, posting, we call them adventures. You get to see the cute animal videos. You get to actually see our ESO videos of our Eastern Screech Owl that you'll see on CHCH News tonight. So make sure you watch that. We post a lot on there, a lot of damage that you see from our animals and stuff like that. So follow us on social media, Ontario Wildlife Removal. Alternatively is a lot of our information for what we do day to day as far as exclusion, protection, what animals we deal with, OntarioWildliferemoval.ca. You can get in touch with us there. There's email forms. You can quick response form to get a hold of us. All our phone numbers are there. We're very easy to get a hold of.
One more question here. Have you ever mouse-proofed a chicken coop?
Impossible. I don't need to because the chickens will eat the mice.
Okay, with that, we will finish up. Thank you very much for giving us all this information, Jarrett, and we'll see you tonight on CHCH News.
All right, take care, Chantel.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye now.